Let's start with the hard truth. Most companies don't want to admit. Most leaders were never trained to lead people. They were promoted because they were good at hitting metrics. Great salesperson, numbers crush. Congrats, you're a manager. Best technician, output was the highest, also a manager. And then leadership falls apart because being great at a job does not mean that you know how to lead employees. That gap, this is where most leadership problems are born. We promote performers, we get managers, and everyone, they wonder why it falls apart. As an individual contributor, success is clear. Hit the KPI, deliver the output, meet the deadlines. So when that person gets promoted, they bring the same playbook with them. They manage people through KPIs instead of capability, OKRs instead of context, scorecards instead of conversations, weekly numbers instead of long term development. One on ones, they turn into status updates. Coaching becomes pressure to perform. And then when the results dip, leaders double down on the numbers instead of stepping back to lead. They're not bad managers. They're managing people the same way that they manage themselves. And this is where the damage shows up. Employees feel constantly measured but rarely supported. Stress goes up, engagement drops. People stop speaking up, then they stop trying. Some of them, they'll quietly quit. Others, they're going to burn out. Some get fired for performance issues, and others, they just leave, not because of the work, but because of the manager. That's how performance quietly dies, one burned out employee at a time. I've seen this play out more times than I can count. I worked with an organization that promoted one of their top performers into a leadership role. He was the guy that everyone constantly carried the team because he got the results. He had the best system and the best process, built relationships with his customers, which means he got the best results. Once he became a manager, he focused on numbers only. Monday morning hoorah meetings, one on ones to tell people they weren't hitting their numbers, periodic emails threatening consequences if metrics weren't met. He thought that he was doing everything right, but his team was stuck. They had a lack of performance. They weren't hitting their KPIs, and the same results, flat. And that pattern was obvious. The team wasn't improving, they were just being monitored. He was managing them solely on the numbers, and he thought that if he just get them to hit their numbers like he did, this wouldn't be a problem. And that, it really told me everything. No one ever helped him make the shift from being the one who delivers results to being the one who leads people to hit the results. And let me be honest, that's not about the numbers. Here's the truth, it's not a leadership failure, it's a training failure. Leadership behavior is very predictable. This is why leadership issues almost never exist on their own. Leadership behavior is predictable. People lead the way that they were trained or not trained. If they are taught to hit the number, that's what they manage. If performance systems reward output over growth, that's what gets reinforced. If no one ever teaches how to lead people, managers fall back on metrics and numbers. I spend a lot of time helping organizations step back and see how onboarding, leadership, and performance systems interact before they rush to fix a single problem. Because leadership breakdowns are usually system failures in disguise. Here's a real root cause. Organizations promote people but never help them change altitude. Individual contributors, they live close to the work, the tasks, the metrics, execution. Leaders are supposed to operate higher direction, connection, guiding. But when no one teaches them that shift, new managers default to what worked before. They watch their dashboards. They manage the KPIs. They fix problems themselves, and then they start driving harder when the numbers slip. In reality, leadership training never really shows up. What shows up instead is expectation. Figure it out. Be more strategic. Lead your people. No tools, no models, no guidance on how to actually lead people day to day. So managers, they fall back on what they know: tracking, reporting, pushing harder. Results get chased, people get exhausted, and behavior doesn't change. If you want real leaders instead of managers who have disengaged, have low productivity, and have a negative team, it comes down to one thing: train people to be leaders, bottom line. Step one is teach them how to lead, not just to deliver. Being promoted for results doesn't automatically make somebody a leader. You have to show them how to develop their people, lead employees to produce results, give real feedback, shift focus from doing the work to creating the conditions on their team for results. Without this, they'll just jump into managing KPIs, OKRs, and reports and not the people. Step two is give them practical tools, not theory, not inspiring speeches, tools that they can actually use every week. One-on-one templates, role clarity guides, performance conversation frameworks, team development trackers. Tools don't make people macromanage numbers, they give them a structure to lead effectively. Step three then is make sure the system supports leadership. Onboarding, performance metrics, and rewards all have to reinforce leadership behaviors. If onboarding trains hit the KPI at all costs, or performance systems reward short term output over team growth, leaders will behave exactly like that. You don't fix leadership by telling managers to care more. You fix it by training them and giving them the tools and the systems to lead. That's it. No fluff, no magic, just training plus tools plus system. That's what equals good leaders. Here's a mistake that most organizations keep making. They try to fix leadership behavior without examining what that behavior was trained to do. And when you focus on the wrong level, managers burn out, teams, they disengage, performance becomes harder to sustain, and turnover is higher. Lasting improvement starts with clarity, understanding exactly how metrics, systems, and leadership behaviors interact today before deciding what to change tomorrow. Understanding how your onboarding, leadership, and performance systems are shaping behavior today before you decide what to change tomorrow. If this is something that you are dealing with at your company, I invite you to reach out to me for a conversation, a real discussion about where your managers are stuck managing numbers instead of leading people, what your systems are actually reinforcing, and what kind of changes would create better leadership, not more pressure. Sometimes the starting point is onboarding, sometimes leadership tools, sometimes performance structure. Clarity comes first. Guess what? Everything else is just motion. Next, we're going to expose why performance problems start long before the review and what leaders can do to stop them early. Because performance problems, they don't suddenly appear at review time. They're usually baked in months earlier. The next video is called Performance Problems Start Long Before Reviews. If this resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe for straight talk about how leadership actually works. And here's the question that I'll leave with you. Where are your managers managing KPIs when they should be leading their people? Because before any training, tools, or fixes can really work, leaders have to understand how onboarding, leadership, and performance systems are actually functioning today. That's where real leadership starts.